There's a highway right next to the naked bungee jumping area. Can you imagine a family's just taking a lovely Sunday drive and they have to tell little Timmy not to look to his left? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the most recent episode of The Bachelorette. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe because I put out new videos every single week and it helps me a whole bunch. Now, let's get to the action. So we start off in Latvia, which honestly is one of those countries where you don't remember it exists until someone says the name and you're like, oh yeah, that's a thing. And as we're there, Hannah says that it reminds her of a princess movie that she watched as a child. I'm guessing it's Princess Diaries. Anyone want to take bets on this? I'm just saying it's Princess Diaries. One-on-one this week was with Garrett, and she talks about she wants to see what he brings to the table, you know? She wants him to go all in. Sex jokes. After these lovely sex jokes, we end up seeing them in a clearing. And then what's that? A naked couple bungee jumping. You betcha. Now, Hannah acts as if she had no idea that this was coming, and like, you're telling me that the producers didn't tell her that there was a possibility that she was getting naked that day. That sounds like a lawsuit. And just looking at that, it's like, that would hurt your boobs. Not to mention the guy's bungee, if you know what I'm saying. Like, that's going to be doing that, and then who knows, it might get burned on the bungee. There's just a lot of rashes that could happen. But good thing she wore earrings or this would be indecent. The people who work there must see a lot of bungees. There's a highway right next to the naked bungee jumping area. Can you imagine a family's just taking a lovely Sunday drive and they have to tell little Timmy not to look to his left? Then, you know, it goes to the dinner part of the date and Garrett talks about all the sights that Latvia had to offer. I'm sure that he really loved two of the mountains. And then Garrett says that today really pressed them up against a wall. And each other. You know, we're watching this and my mom says, I don't know, I think he might have came up short. And I said, no, I think he really rose to the occasion. Then, you know, things get a little deep and Garrett says that he's really falling in love for her. Not with her, for her. It's all for her. He's doing this for her. I don't know, it bothered me. Obviously, it wouldn't be an episode of The Bachelorette this season unless we had some Luke P drama. So, you know, he hears about the fact that his precious Hannah went naked bungee jumping with Garrett. He doesn't believe it happened. Then, while he's having a hissy fit, she's like, you know what? I respect her for doing that, for taking chances, for living her life, for trying new things. I'm just like, Tyler C for the win. But then, of course, you know, Luke P has to approach Hannah about it, you know, after the group date. And he's like, so I heard that you do bungee jumping. I don't believe it's real. But then he finds out that it was real. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to love you even when you make really boneheaded mistakes and you do things completely out of character. You just do some stupid stuff. But he's saying it as if this is all like really loving and romantic. And the whole time Hannah's like about to cry. And I'm just like, this is terrible. Luke P has more lives than a proverbial cat. Then we have Precious Bean Peter goes on a date with Hannah, his one-on-one, and they go to this like little sauna, spiritual, mystical thing, and there is a Latvian woman who is like singing a chant. I'm guessing in Latvian. Is Latvian a language? I don't know. But she's like singing and there's a break, and so they're both like, oh my gosh, thank you, that was amazing. And then she keeps going and it was real uncomfortable. And then it wouldn't be a Peter and Hannah moment unless there was heavy making out, and that's what they did in the sauna. So, you know, there's a lot of sweat involved. It's just so confusing because he looks like a tiny little bunny and then he gets real aggressive. He like pushed her chest down. I'm like, yikes. Then we fast forward to the emotional part of the date, the dinner, and Peter's talking about his past relationships and how he's been really hurt, and he starts to tear up, and I have never met Peter in my natural born life, but I started to cry. Peter comes back from his date and he's talking to the guys and Jed's like, I miss Hannah. So of course he brings his guitar because can he go anywhere without his guitar? Answer, no, it's physically part of him. It is fused on like a mole. He goes out to Hannah's room and he's playing his little song. One of the lyrics being, I would never lie to you, I'd never tell a lie. This is his girlfriend back home, who he still has. Then they're making out on a bed a lot of making out, a lot of bodies on top of bodies in this season. And he's saying that he's falling in love with her. And like, personally, I just never trust a true love or a falling in love admission when heartbeats are raised and temperatures are raised and it's a lot of sauciness. You know what I mean? Like, say that when you're in line at a grocery store getting a sub sandwich, but not when like you're turned on. You know what I mean? Then there's just a lot of Luke P sass and annoyingness, and every time he talks it just honestly sounds like one of those people who works at the kiosk at the mall. Like, honestly, I know that like that's a real job, I respect you for having that job, but it just sounds like every time he's speaking he's trying to like sell his personality, like trying to say everything he says as if it's truthful. Like, no, really, this is the truth, I'm selling it to you, here, it's packaged, this is the truth. I mean, it says lie, but it's a truth. Because people will ask him things and he'll say, I didn't say that, and then they'll like prove that he did say that. Like, they'll show him the receipts and then he'll be like, oh yeah, I did say that. I just wonder if the backs of his shoes are really worn down from all this backtracking. Then, you know, Hannah comes and gets him because when he was being like really mean to her about her choices, she realizes, yeah, that didn't sit well with her. So she calls him out of the room of boys and she's like, yo, this is messed up. And then he says, I don't know if you remember everything I said, and I don't want to say you're twisting my words. It's just like so much emotional manipulation and gaslighting. It's just so unhealthy, and I dislike him so much, not even just because of, you know, his like persona that he puts on, but because he's emotionally manipulative, he's emotionally abusive, he has anger issues, his word means nothing. Like, that's the issues I have with him, like genuinely sincere character flaws. So after he talks with Hannah, obviously Luke P needs someone to blame because heaven forbid he blames himself. So he goes back to the boys, he's like all mad about it, and they're all talking about staying in their lane. And he's like, you know, if someone wasn't talking about the details that they had on their date, and this wouldn't have happened. And like looking at Garrett, getting mad at Garrett for talking about the naked bungee jumping. And Jed is like, are you blaming him for your talk with Hannah? And he's like, no, I'm thanking him. It's like, what? Like, no, you're not even lying well. Like, if you're gonna be a liar, at least be a convincing liar. Also, I like legitimately laughed out loud. Then Jed is like talking to Luke and he's like, you know, you need to keep your voice down, Luke, because last time you yelled, Hannah got really upset, and I swear if you do that again, me and you are gonna have a problem. And then Luke P turns and looks at Garrett and he said, yeah, did you hear what he said? Because I did. It's like, Garrett was not yelling, you're yelling, and he just always deflects to other people, and it's insane. And then, you know, of course, when they're talking about, oh, someone's gonna hear, who comes in but good old Chris Harrison, and he's like, Hannah's very upset, there will be no rose ceremony, or there'll be no cocktail party, we're going straight to the rose ceremony, she knows who she's sending home. And Dylan and Devin go home. You know, Dylan was a precious bean. I didn't see too much about Devin, but I did look up some stuff about Dylan, and he seems really sweet and caring, so I'm sure that he'll find a lovely lady. That's it for today's episode, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to subscribe because I do this every week. I cover all the Bachelor news. Subscribe.